Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I'm a professional intuitive empath. So good to share energy with you today. Come on in. Thank you for inviting me in. Let's get started. I'm going to be talking about some quick tips for curing codependency or moving away from a codependent state. A lot of us empaths are recovering codependents and people pleasers, and no matter how you got there, what your injury was, which narcissistic parent, what toxic relationship, there are a myriad of ways that we would enter into that space. But as you're healing, as many of us here that are listening are doing, and walking away from and creating our own independence and maybe some interdependence, if you are moving into healthy connections, friendships, etc., you need to eradicate your need for validation outside of your spirit team and the folks that your spirit team will always dispatch into you. So if you, for example, are used to getting a pat on the back and an attaboy or an attagirl from a family member, from a best friend, from a lover, from a old high school friend, from an old college friend, from a coworker, from a boss, and they know that, and if they have clocked you, as many people that have lower vibrational energies tend to, and even if they are any of the things under the DSM umbrella of the dark triad of personality types, they are really good at assessing that, right? Assessing maybe your need at one time for validation. And that means that they figured out a way to kind of route into and drill into your brain and mind meld with you. And also they want to control that subconscious. So if you've ever had a toxic parent and they withheld, or they didn't not only not compliment you, but went out of their way to disparage you in any capacity, you know exactly what I'm saying. And then how did it make you feel? Probably pretty crappy as your day went on. You're like, geez, maybe that's in your head. Maybe it's something you're thinking about. If you've ever been in a, pardon me, guys. If you've ever been in a one-sided competition with somebody that you didn't even know, unbeknownst to yourself, and you notice that they're taking little jabs at you, and you're like, whoa, what is this? Where is this coming from? That's someone that's probably realizing that you might be disconnecting from them, and they still want to affect you because they liked when you needed their validation. If you want to be impervious and continue to, impervious to attack from people that don't like to see you happy, because people sometimes can be messy, mad, and miserable. And if you know a messy and miserable person, they will want you to be that too. And so that means that they will share the energy that they have in great abundance and project that onto you. So you need to not need anything from them. And when their words come in, good or bad, you need to be impervious to that. You need to shore up your boundaries, and you need to realize that you might be under attack. You're not always under attack, but how you can escape all of that and a lot of the mind games that people play is by truly healing your codependency. And that means not needing a you did great from anybody, because here's the thing, it doesn't mean you don't need it. You're a human after all. We all love a little bit of like validation. That's why people hire coaches when they're getting healthy, or when they're doing mental work, or a therapist, or someone to say, hey, you're on the right course. But I want you guys to get so in tune with your spirit team that those validating statements will come from people that are not nefarious and that do not have any ill intent towards you and do not have any roiling, subversive jealousies under the surface. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about towards you. Because sometimes you can be in a relationship with someone and then they pivot, and I say go rogue, and you might be the last to know. And so you are taking on all of their negativity, all of their toxicity, and they hate you. I've certainly had that happen to me. And I've seen it happen with clients, and I've observed it with friends and family too, when they don't realize that the tide has turned. Now, someone that used to once validate you, cheer for you, like you, maybe they were a fan of you, maybe they were, and when I say fan, I mean figuratively, like they supported you, whatever the case may be. For those of you guys in our industry, maybe they were your fan. But what I'm going to tell you is this: when they shift, they still want access to your energy. And if you are codependent on that praise, then they can bring you to your knees. because they can either withhold it from you, which is something that we notice which happens in narcissistic dynamics, where there is the devaluing stage, the breadcrumbing stage, all of that, the discard stage. Well, with the breadcrumbing stage, that's a withholding of the affection that you once were able to have, that was easy, and that was whatever you're used to getting from them. A lot of therapists, Sam Venkin, Dr. Romney, those are some of the big ones, Ross Rosenberg, they talk often about the intense sexual chemistry with the narcissist. But really, the narcissist is just projecting onto you. They're not really engaging with you, and they're not really caring about your pleasure. And that's why it's so easy for them to turn it off, especially when they're shopping new supply and the rest of it. So if you are codependent on that great sexual chemistry to validate that you have a healthy relationship, when they start to breadcrumb you, now you're internalizing that. You all know exactly what I'm saying. And so you have to be okay with, and not just okay because it's actually better, the team that will be dispatched into you. It may not always be the same person. It could be a random person at a grocery store. It could be a random person that's in the car next to you. It could be someone that you walk into the library and you see. But the thing that's important to remember about any of this is that you will get what you need, and it will be, I actually say it's free, because it doesn't cost you something, meaning the cost of staying connected to somebody that's not really rooting for you, or the cost of staying connected to someone who wants to see you lose and is quietly wishing misfortune on you. Everything is not doom and gloom, and you may be very lucky and fortunate to have a solid, good team around you. But if you've ever gone through any of these scenarios, all of us went to school. Everyone here listening probably went to school, unless you're homeschooled. But you know what that is, to have the tides turn and shift. If you don't know what I'm talking about in an adult manner, reflect back on, one day you're friends with this person, and stuff gets weird, and then they're acting weird, and you still think you're friends, and then it shifts. Now, if you've had those experiences, the person that shifted with you understood, even if they were a child, even, that there was some level of codependency that you may have had on their value of yourself, of their value of who you were, and there was some codependency that you may have had on their, not just validation, but them liking you, whatever the case may be, because with codependency is people pleasing. Those two things go hand in hand. So you may have been over giving, over nice, overextending yourself in so many ways, and when you're doing that, that's when people can really mess with you. And you know what I say? Play in your face. So this is what the angels downloaded for me to do in the last several years, as I've been really working on this for myself and really trying to make sure I'm teaching clients helpfully and how to live better, is don't depend on anyone. There are days in my life where I don't talk to a single person besides a client, right? And there are some days where I don't talk to a single client either. I try to take some days like that too. And so I don't need an attaboy or an attagirl from anybody, but somehow the universe always finds a way to get them through. And I actually appreciate the way that it comes through now, because it's so authentic. No one is needing something from me and or codependent on my energy. I'm not codependent on their energy. And it's just a much more healthy way for me to live. And at first I was like, so wait, you mean this is just not going to be part of my life? And the angel said, no, it's absolutely part of your life, but now let us do it right. Your spirit team will always just get it right. And what that means is we're going to send in people that don't have an agenda, that aren't secretly hating on you, and that are, jealous because they like something that you have, or they wish they had it, or they think you don't appreciate it. People are weird, and we all can get in our heads. And unless you really are great at communication, usually those things just fester and they don't ever get spoken about. So now you're dealing with an outburst from someone that you thought you were very close from, or you're dealing with punchy, jabby, passive-aggressive stabs from someone that you thought valued you and was rooting for you, or you're dealing with, nonsensical non-compliments and backhanded compliments from family members that were close to you. When you don't care about what anybody thinks about you, it is a great freedom. And it doesn't mean, again, that you will not have someone come in and say, you're amazing. But they said, let us surprise you. That's from your angels. Let it be from unsuspecting people, from unsuspecting places, people that can see you and will speak to you and say, thank you. I appreciate what you did. You held space for me here. I learned something there. Or that was a blessing to me. Or someone just comes in and compliments you and they want nothing back. Then absolutely do that. Do that. And allow your spirit team to surprise you delightfully is what I'm hearing, because they will absolutely surprise you delightfully. And then you are able to take your power back from all of those places and all of those people who think, oh, I'm going to show him or her, I won't say I like their whatever. Or I had a client that had this happen. She was starting to work out with one of her friends at the gym, and they had been gym buddies for a while. And the friend was always ahead of her. And so they were both in pretty good shape. But the friend was not complimenting her. And this is what this came about from. This thought form. The friend was not like really complimenting her, and she was like, I'm not getting the likes I deserve, with social media. She was kind of making a joke about that. I'm not getting the likes I deserve. So then she just stopped seeking the validation and started just showing up and putting in the work. And she got like super smoked, super amazing. She actually recently just competed in a competition and she won. Okay. But the thing about it is that she got more on her A game because she stopped being codependent. She was like, man, this friend that I was a cheerleader for is just not supporting me the same way. This is weird. And it was because what I was detecting was some latent jealousy and competition that my client wasn't in. It was one-sided. She wasn't invested into that. She actually really loved her friend and was actually hurt by it. So she starts showing up to the gym. She starts going in the morning. She starts going at night. She still keeps her appointment with her friend because she's a good friend. And we can do a little bit of codependent people pleasing, right? Because I'm like, would your friend reciprocally do that with you? But that was her journey to walk through. I don't ever tell you what to do. We are guiding as I am directed to. But in any case, she starts going. And when she's at the gym at all hours of the night, she bumps into other gym friends and gym buddies. And even though she's not like befriending them deeply, they're like, whoa, man, your progress is sick. And I can see she's naming muscles I don't know about, but you're this and you're that on your back and your quads and your laterals. I don't know. But they're complimenting her. Now, these were things that she had noticed for herself and that she'd been like, I think that looks a little more defined. Oh my gosh, or I've lost a half an inch this time or whatever. But the person that was her workout bestie was not giving what was supposed to have been gave, okay? She was withholding that praise because she understood once upon a time that my client was codependent upon her compliments. And so by taking her power back, the universe dispatched in the spirit team, and that spirit team is earth angels, just random people that will approach you. And they told her everything that any girl would want to know when you're feeling like you're doing what you need to do and you're looking good. She was really proud of herself. But she got proud of herself first and divorced herself from needing that from her quote unquote friend. And then the angel said, we've got you on the back end. And they did. She won the competition. That part. And so when the sabotaging behavior, emerged from that friend, and it did, and she was starting to sabotage her after the competition went and right before leading up to it, and don't you want to go out and get something, and everyone needs a binge day. Pay attention, y'all. Pay attention. She was able to understand and see exactly what was going on the whole time and how that girl was in her face playing and hoping she wouldn't notice. In any case, whatever happens to that connection, my client still is working through that. But now she knows who she is. But that's because she worked on healing some codependency on a relationship that once was making her feel pretty crappy because she thought, why isn't she supporting me reciprocally? Because sometimes when people know they have that power over you, that withholding is something that they delight in doing. Or maybe it's some toxic pattern that they have too. I always try to approach things compassionately, but I, again, Black Mama energy, care about you as my client and as my collective, period. So I don't care what your little friends do or what they're going through. Can I see it sometimes? sometimes, and can I look into their lives and understand? Sure. But I care about you following the plan that is set out by God in the universe for you. Okay? And for that client, it was destined for her to win and destined for her to get the praise from random strangers in the middle of the night and in the middle of the morning at her 24-hour gym. So that's your little client lesson for today. Ingest it. Take it in. When you free yourself from people that are used to being in your ear and needing to know that they approve of everything that you love and hold dear and everything that you do, the universe is going to send in mothers and sisters and friends and homies that also support you. They are going to make sure that they come through for you, because more than likely there's a codependent, toxic situation that may have been lingering or attached to you, a tethered energy, and they want you to be free. And the only way you can be free is by not needing the validation from someone who is not really happy to see you win, succeed, and excel. And the angels wish you so much better than that. They wish you beyond well. And they want you to get out of those fresh hells and come into the light. Come into the light, Carol Ann. They want you to come into the light and get away from that jealous energy of people that don't know how to treat you right, because very often they do not know how to treat themselves right. And they also resent the absolute fuck out of you for having the gumption and the wherewithal to do something different than you used to. Be very careful of those people that are like, oh, I remember when you when you would have had, the girl was throwing in her face her previous binge days. Now, these are two women that are in tip-top shape, but hey, people in tip-top shape binge too. So she was like, yeah, she was really being like, girl, like it's not like you're acting like you're like so high and mighty, like you can't whatever. And anyone here listening to the story, you're nodding your head and being like, yeah, that girl was jealous. Exactly. But when you're proximal and you're close in a relationship, that's hard to see. So I don't stand in judgment for any client or even for me or for you, collective, because when you're in those relationships, it's hard to see with your mother, with your dad, with your friend, with a bestie, to see that maybe things have pivoted, they've gone rogue, and now they've got animosity. And you're like, whoa, what's happening here? Well, when you feel that, ask the angels to send in the spirit team that will support you, that wants not a damn thing from you but to see you win. That's a pivot that I've made in my life in the last several years too, so deeply. I decided I'm just going to love and support me in all of the decisions I make, in all of the business decisions that I make, in all of the emotional decisions that I make, in the romantic decisions that I make. And wouldn't you know it, I've had the most support randomly from people that don't know my whole life, that aren't throwing my backstory into my face. Although I'm very proud of my backstory because it made me the woman I am today. But not everybody wants to have to wear their backstory and talk about it. Everyone's not on a platform telling all their business, right? That's my job here, is to share from my pain so that you guys can elevate. But that's not everybody's mission in life. But in any case, when I realized I don't need the validation of anybody, I'm a validator, right? It doesn't mean that I don't deserve that back reciprocally, but now I ask my angels to send in the highest vibing energies to do that for me. And I don't have to ask every day. I don't even ask at all, really. I ask one time and voila, magic. I could be on the phone with a client, they say something lovely. I could be out in the store, someone compliments me. I could be driving down the road, someone waves at me and says, roll down your window, I like your fill in the blank, it's sparkly. That is what happens when you start depending on your spirit team and not on people that are wanting to kill your dream. Oh, come on, dream killers. There are dream killers around you. Now, I'll be on film in the next few days to talk about that with you directly, because a lot of you guys have dealt with that. I've gotten a lot of letters lately, and thank you for that. A lot of little emails and such about people that were like pouring pesticides on your dreams. So the angels say that that's a on-face broadcast that we'll do, and I will get that to you shortly. But in the meantime, in between time, stop worrying about who's validating you. Divorce yourself from that codependency, because that's how you will really heal. And trust me, you'll never go without. In fact, what you might find, like my client, like I have found, and like many in the collective that are listening, it's so much better when the person who's your dream killer and holding you down is not around to cause any more restrictions. You actually soar. You soar when you don't have those karmic energies around you. I'll talk about that on screen too. How you can tell that you've divorced yourself from a karmic energy is that there will be financial boons, there will be emotional boons, there'll be spiritual things that happen. You'll be like, why wasn't this happening? I've been working this hard the whole time. But with a certain somebody by your side that didn't want to see you shine, and they're just pumping that negative energy, which is like a witchcraft of sorts, that spell work of sorts, whether they're over a cauldron or lighting a candle or not, they are just thinking negatively. They're gossiping about you. They're thinking ill of you. They're jealous of what they can see you do. And that is something that will be a pesticide to any dream that you want to see come through or push through. So you have to not need whomever is quote unquote next to you if you are sensing toxicity. Not everyone is toxic. Not everyone is not rooting for you, but you know what I mean. And you will feel if it's in non-alignment. So the angel said, let us handle it. Let us bring you in concierge of love. Let us bring you in concierge of friendship. Let us bring you in concierge of a back pat and you did that. And yes, girl, yes. Okay. Because there are people that want the best for you. And it might be the stranger that's sitting next to you and not the fill in the blank longevity that has always been next to you. Message. So good sharing energy with you guys today. Come back and join me next time. We'll continue to evolve together.